Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Holly and I'm a freelance illustrator, as many of you will know, and I have the kind of job that is ripe for the picking if you are an AI model. I previously referred to myself as a conveyor belt of painting due to the fact that the type of work that I've been hired for, and I'm still hired for today for the time being, typically involves a big long list of items that need painting for products in the publishing industry, such as board games, cards, educational tools and books. Also magazines, packaging and branding. By the way, if you can hear a lot of rain, it's because I'm in Scotland and it's summer, so it's just going to be raining the entire time. I hope it's creating a nice background noise if you can hear it. I'm hired because I can work to a written brief, I can render illustrations in my distinctive watercolour painting style, and I can produce a lot if needs be. Unfortunately, this is exactly what AI generative art has been trained to do. I'm sure that there are AI systems out there that can reproduce work that's very similar, if not identical, to my style, because I've seen this happen to other artists. I'm not brave enough to find out for sure whether that's happening, but what I do know is that my art is all over the internet as a consequence of needing to market myself to find work. And artificial intelligence models have been scraping art from the internet for training and for data for quite a while now. I wanted to draw attention to a really great blog post that was written by fellow artist Julia Bausenhardt. She wrote about her perspective and concerns about AI, and also linked a page called haveibeentrained.com where you can search the image generator Stable Diffusion and see if they've scraped your images. You can also make an account with them and go through quite a tedious process of ticking the images one by one that you don't consent to them using. However, it's also somewhat too late to opt out of this, as this method is only valid for future versions of the datasets. And yes, when I searched, I found many of my images on there. I've been in the industry for over 14 years and I've been on YouTube for 10 of those, and I've often talked honestly about the illustration career path, but I did stop for a good while there. Certainly since we moved into this van, I haven't really engaged in any art industry hot topics until now. Today I want to talk about AI art, a subject that has the potential to be quite depressing to us all, minus those that stand to make a lot of money from it. By us all, I mean workers in the creative industry. Writers, animators, musicians, designers, illustrators, we're all in the same boat when it comes to AI. Our lovely creative careers that have taken years, if not decades, to form are indeed under threat and will be drastically changing in the coming years. I'm going to be discussing this from an illustrator's perspective because it's the only perspective I have. But the threat is the same across the wider creative industry and also the wider jobs market. It seems like a horrendously bad idea to be pumping money into technology like this at a time when our societies are so dysfunctional and so unequal. It's pretty obvious to me, at least, that AI in this current moment is only really going to benefit and enrich a few, namely the owners of capital, which is such a shame as it has amazing potential, and we're not actually against it in the right hands. I'm actually not against automation of any kind, again in the right hands and with the right set of circumstances. After all, technological advances are sold to us as a way to make our lives freer, as a way for us to work less, to spend more time doing things that bring us joy, and to make our lives easier. But under capitalism, has that actually happened yet? Or are we gradually working more and more, living more precarious lives, and with a worsening quality of life on an increasingly burnt planet? AI could also make our lives so much safer. It could tackle environmental issues, it could take on dangerous work so that humans don't have to anymore. And in medicine, for example, it has amazing capabilities. It has the possibility to detect cancer at a faster rate than humans could even dream of. But so far, it looks like it's mostly just coming for our jobs, and we don't even have universal basic income yet. More on that later. There is some positive sides to all of this. To be honest, I was dragging my feet when it came to researching this because I really didn't want to spiral into feeling depressed and demotivated. But there's actually some hope out there for artists and some positive steps you can take if you want to carry on having a creative career that involves something that should come quite naturally to all of us: being human. So, shall we go through the bad news first and then move on to the positive? Firstly, I do think that as soon as AI art has lost some of that stigma of being kind of cheesy and bad, being attached to deep fakes and having terrible portrayals of anatomy. As soon as that's been fixed and it's been more normalised, it will be more accepted in the creative industry and in the publishing industry, of which I'm a worker. After a while, I don't think people will be asking who illustrated this. People will get used to not seeing a credit for an illustrator on a product. Seeing the name of a celebrity or a studio will be enough for the consumer to feel like they are interacting with a human-made product. That's my guess anyway. And beyond my corner of the industry is coming for workers in all kinds of fields, from animation and gaming to advertising and photography. And also, the most vulnerable workers will be the ones that go first, those who already have low pay and precarious working conditions. At the moment, there's nothing to protect these workers from this technological unemployment. There's no upskilling into what exactly, only downskilling into working with these generators, feeding work into them, whilst the enjoyable and creatively satisfying parts are lost to machines. There's no financial support, even though these models are using our hard work, scraping it from the internet without our consent to train and take over. Without us, without our creations, without our imagination, without our honed crafts, these models would not exist. Secondly, if you're an artist, you'll know only too well how hard it is to have your artwork valued and to have your time and your skill properly compensated. And AI art, with its mode of instant gratification, with its ability to generate images that would take days, weeks or months to create by the human hand, with just the click of a few buttons, it's really going to devalue art and illustration. It's going to oversaturate the market, even more than it already is. In my Instagram video, I talked about the hyperconsumption of art on social media platforms, and AI art is going to contribute to this in a big way. Hyperconsumption means less quality control, less time considering meaning or method, or engaging with the art or the artist in any kind of thoughtful way. It just seems like everything is speeding up, everything is accelerating, our attention is being grabbed at from more and more angles. I don't know about anyone else, but I hate a fast-paced life. I don't want to be forced to go faster. What are we rushing for? Can anyone answer that? AI has the potential to seriously devalue art forms such as painting, digital art and drawing. And people will be asking, what is the point of human-made art when machines appear to make it just as well? Many companies, unfortunately, will definitely choose AI over working with humans to boost their profits. It's quicker, cheaper and easier. With this comes FOBO, or the fear of becoming obsolete. This fear is completely valid and I feel it too, alongside other fears I have about the direction the world is going in, from environmental destruction to irreversible climate change and the rise of fascism. It's hard enough to find motivation and inspiration to paint and draw these days, and now we learn that machines are coming to take away our form of expression that we've nurtured for so long. Lastly, AI is owned by big tech and corporations. AI fans like to say AI is going to democratize art and writing and creative skills. It's going to make the tools accessible to everyone, and everyone is going to be able to improve their skills at speed. However, large-scale AI models are still largely controlled by big tech firms because of the enormous computing and data resources they require. Terms such as general-purpose AI and open-source AI, and ideas of small community-driven enterprises create this false narrative, and they deliberately hide a key fact about these models. They require such huge amounts of power and data resources that ultimately only the most well-resourced companies, i.e. the biggest tech companies like Microsoft, Google and Meta, can afford to sustain them. How can it democratize anything when we have no access to the means of production, i.e. the data centers or the power sources? And that's not even to mention our stolen intellectual property. How is that democracy?
Concentrated power isn't just a problem for markets. Relying on a few unaccountable corporate actors for core infrastructure is a problem for democracy, culture, and individual and collective agency. Without significant intervention, the AI market will only end up rewarding and entrenching the very same companies that reap the profits of the invasive surveillance business models that has powered the commercial internet, often at the expense of the public.
We need to look at how huge corporations have always sought to deregulate. They buy our politicians, they use our data to influence elections, they monopolise the market, and they fling about their economic might to get what they want. Concentrated power, influence, and no regulations. Why do we think that AI would be any different? There are many other negatives that I could talk about here, such as copyright infringement, carbon emissions from data centers powering AI, data privacy, spread of misinformation and deepfakes, the existential threat. But I do want to end this video with a little slice of hope and some solidarity with my fellow creatives. I want to end this video by suggesting some ways that we might survive as artists despite AI. The following are notes to myself as much as to anyone else. We need reminders that all is not lost, that what we make is important, and that we deserve fulfilling careers still using our craft. The first thing that I think needs to be seriously discussed and advocated for as soon as we even start thinking about this mass technological unemployment event is a concept called universal basic income. Universal basic income, or UBI, is classed as a social welfare policy, but unlike benefits, it doesn't come with any demands or conditions on the receiver. It's a guaranteed income, and although people insist it's a radical idea, despite it being trialled in numerous countries with success, in practice it's something that would solve the problems coming our way due to automation. And it goes some way to solve some of the problems inherent to capitalism as well, such as massive wage inequality and entrenched wealth at the very top. The computer scientist Professor Geoffrey Hinton, who's regarded as the godfather of artificial intelligence, says that the government will need to establish universal basic income to deal with the impact of AI on inequality. He said that whilst AI will increase productivity and wealth, the money will go to the rich and not the people whose jobs get lost, and that's going to be really bad for society. He said, "I was consulted by the people of Downing Street and I advised them that universal basic income was a good idea." In relation to artists and illustrators becoming unemployed due to the AI takeover, UBI could be seen as compensation, as royalties. Because as we've already discussed, AI art simply wouldn't be possible without all of the human art that it's trained on. We are the reason for its success and we deserve to be compensated for it. Doesn't it just make perfect sense to you to receive royalties, or perhaps dividends is a more accurate term, through universal basic income? It does to me. If AI is going to generate wealth and increase productivity, we need to benefit from it as well. But a scarier question perhaps is, before then, before we have any kind of financial support to speak of, how will we compete with AI generated art? I think to find answers to this, we need to look at what AI is and what it isn't, what its weaknesses are, what's lacking in the process, and what it produces. We need to be preemptively asking the question, what will people miss about this time where human-made art still prevails? So, AI art only knows how to scrape art forms, styles, and images from what already exists on the internet and from what it is fed. AI feeds on our work and it spits out an imitation. Granted, the imitation might be very good and it might well satisfy the person using the generator, but I don't think we'll ever get away from that feeling that something is lacking. Instant gratification feels good at first, but it soon becomes lacking. There is no process of learning or exploration, no personal growth, no conversations, nothing to overcome, no lessons to draw from. It's simply a fleeting need being instantly met. Illustrators will know only too well that with human-made art there are many challenges and a huge amount of decision-making behind the scenes. Every single piece we make is a sign of our growth and it represents our lived experiences, everything that's happened to us, everything we've interacted with up until this point. So perhaps to compete with AI, we must emphasize this, become the antidote to instant gratification, and be more willing to offer up the journey alongside the finished artwork. One of my best performing videos is a video where I share the process of working on a zine from start to finish, and my zine sold out really fast. I think people really do want to buy into the humanity and the story behind art. The meaning of art is the relationship between the artist and the audience. When there is no artist, there is no conversation, there's no relationship. I think that after quite a short while, the audience will feel the effects of this and hopefully appreciate artists in a new light. Many experts agree on this point. David Lee, who is the CCO of Squarespace, predicts a future where human craftsmanship and human creativity are valued above AI-generated content. I actually believe all these AI tools will be for the masses, he says. People in future will pay a premium for handmade craft and creativity because there's a story attached to it. People who can craft things with their hands, that will be the new luxury of the future. It seems like storytelling could become more important than ever. And with social media, we at least have a mode to tell our stories. Yes, it's very imperfect and stressful and frustrating to use, but it is there for us to use if we want it. We can also share the story of our art in person through live illustration events, for example, street art and good old-fashioned exhibitions and talks. AI art can never reveal the artist behind the art, but we can. Localizing our work might be something to try as well. AI can't respond to its own environment because it doesn't have one. It doesn't know what sitting on top of a windy cliff edge feels like. It can only reproduce what's already been said about windy cliff edges. If we can attach a place to our art, we are having a conversation with everyone who's ever visited there. We are adding to people's experience of a place. AI doesn't know what the community of Tobermory is like, for example, so making art that reflects the community in which it's made is an advantage only we have. I really do think that storytelling and humanity will become the most important elements of human-made art, and it will always draw people in. AI art doesn't know how to hone its voice because it's purely an imitation, but we do. Your voice, how you form points of view and ideas, the substance, messaging and context behind your work, that's your advantage over AI. It's something I personally really need to work on, and it's something I wasn't working on when I was busy being a conveyor belt of painting. So far I have honed my craft, I have a distinctive style that I'm hired for, but I do need to find my visual language as an artist. My voice as an artist. We need to try to be energized by each other as well, and that's coming from a massive introvert. But machines can't mimic the collaborations we have. We already have these little artistic ecosystems where we support each other through subscriptions, shop purchases, markets, conversations, newsletters, and those will continue to be really important, I think. We need to keep on having conversations with each other as our connection to computers begins to grow even further. I suspect that we aren't able to stop this technological race to who knows where, but we can fight to survive it together. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you got something out of it. I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. Especially if we can boost each other and share some things that we think will be really valuable once AI art starts to come to the forefront. What things we can do as human artists that can compete with AI art, and what plans you have for the future when it comes to your creative careers and your ambitions. So thanks so much. If you like this video, please subscribe, and also please like this video and share it with anyone you think might be interested. Thanks to my patrons who always support me, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Bye.